Wonderful. Good morning. Wait, it could be afternoon where you are, but San Diego, it's morning. Hi, my name is Kathy Goldberg, and I use the pronouns he. I'm like so nervous. I shouldn't be nervous. She and her, and I'm trying to read this without glasses. That's what's the matter. Sorry. I'm the director of early childhood education at Congregation Beth Israel in San Diego. I'm also the VP of communication for ECE-RJ. And I am really ready for some fun. For those of you who are with us on Thursday, you had the chance to meet the incredible Eliana Rubin. Eliana is a queer, trans artist and educator. I see the clapping, yay. She is currently studying for her MA in Education Leadership at HUC JIR. She has worked at schools and synagogues in New York and in LA, and was one of the original staff members of ECE-RJ 6-Point Creative Arts Academy. I bet that was so fun. On Thursday, she started us on a fascinating conversation about LGBTQ vocabulary and issues advocating. And advocacy is so important. But today she's bringing to us her talent of Jewish musicals, and otherwise known as Jewiscals. And I can't wait. So Eliana, thank you. Thanks for being here this morning. We're so excited.
Kathy, thank you so much for having me. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hi, it's so good to see so many familiar faces and to meet so many new ones. My name's Eliana Rubin. My pronouns are she, her, and they, them. And I'm so excited to be going on this journey of a workshop over the next few minutes with you. What we're going to do today is we're going to learn about what Jewiscals are, where they came from, how we can apply them to early childhood education, and we're going to write some Jewiscals today as well. It doesn't matter if you have musical theater writing experience. It doesn't matter if you've never written anything at all, although I imagine that many of us have written something in our lives. But what I want us to explore today is what it means to take our sacred texts and tell them in different ways, perhaps flipping them on their heads. So what I would love for us to start out by doing is opening up the Padlet that I have just put into the chat. And the question that I want us to think about for a moment is what can we gain from interpreting our sacred texts? When you log on to the Padlet screen, you can add to the page in one of two ways. You can either double click, or you can press the plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. And I believe that we just got a few new folks. Hi, welcome. So I'm just gonna put these back into the chat. So just take a moment and think about what can we gain from interpreting our sacred texts. New understandings and new perspectives. Yeah, absolutely. The way that we think about our texts could be adjusted or deepened, as someone else just put, through our own interpretations or other interpretations. Insight and understanding of our traditions. Yeah, we might find different ways to connect to our traditions. A deeper understanding of the texts and ourselves. We might learn something about ourselves when we're interpreting these texts. That's one of my favorite things about making Jewiscals, is thinking about who I am as a person and how does that inform the work that I'm doing. Gain a wider audience who might not experience the text otherwise. Yeah, absolutely. There might be a barrier of entry of understanding, and through Jewiscals, we might be able to help other folks understand what the stories are saying. How to bring them into our daily lives. Ooh, I love that. That reminds me of a Jewiscal story that I'll share in a little bit. Have fun Jewishly. Yeah, absolutely. Jewiscals can be very fun. I'm going to give a couple of examples that we did at the ECE-RJ 6 Points Creative Arts Academy, or CAA, that were just a very, very silly time, and also a really great way to learn about the texts. Gain the understanding that some conversations have been going on for generations but have evolved as time has gone on. Yes, we are continuing to add to midrashim. We are continuing to add to these stories that have been told throughout centuries and different ways to think about it. These are awesome ideas and awesome thoughts of what we can gain from interpreting our sacred texts. So keep these in mind as we continue on with our session today, and feel free to come back to these if you would like to. So, what is a Jewiscal? Let's talk about it for a minute. A Jewiscal is just the combination of the words Jewish and musical. A little bit about my background. I have been acting since I was a very small child. I told the short story at the session on Thursday. My first time performing was at my hometown synagogue's talent show at the age of either 2 or 3, and I won. And that was very much my peak. Continuing on into my early adulthood, I went to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, and I received my BFA in drama in 2017. I've written a couple of musicals here and there, one of which was a musical adaptation of The Magic School Bus, which was a lot of fun. And in the summer of 2018, I was hired to teach theater during the inaugural summer at the ECE-RJ Six Points Creative Arts Academy at CAA. And one of the really amazing things about CAA is the very intentional combination and intertwining of Jewish and arts. I did go to some summer camps when I was younger, but when I started working at CAA, a thought that kept on running through my head that was also very common among some staff members was, if this camp was around when I was younger, I would have absolutely gone there. One of the things that really kind of took me by surprise was the way that we do Shabbat at CAA. And the way that we do Shabbat is each arts discipline, and there are, I believe, 7 right now, like visual art, vocal music, instrumental music, classical contemporary theater, musical theater, etc. Each arts discipline takes a different aspect of Shabbat and adapts it, makes art out of it. And when I was teaching theater, the first summer theater was just theater, and starting in 2019, it became split between classical contemporary theater and musical theater. Theater was given the role to adapt the Torah portion of the week, to kind of create the drash, I suppose. And when I was given that task, I thought to myself, I have never done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have some musical theater writing experience. I'm a songwriter, but taking our sacred texts and making them both digestible and enjoyable for people from the ages of like 10 to, I don't know, 65, 70, that was something that I was so curious about because I had never done it before. I personally had never seen it done before. And so I was thinking about, how do we take our texts and turn them into musical theater? One of the cool things about Jewiscals at camp anyways is it goes by the Torah portion of the week. So when creating the Jewiscals, I had the texts that were previously given to me through our Torah, you know. And what I noticed was that they could either be taken very literally, they could be a very, very strict adaptation of the stories, or they can kind of be adaptations. And some examples that I would like to give on this are from the portion of Balak in the book of Numbers. In 2018, I did my first Jewiscal for the portion of Balak. The story goes that there is a man by the name of Balaam who is told to come curse the people of Israel by Balak, who is the king of Moab. Balaam hops on his donkey, he's walking, and then his donkey sees an angel. And his donkey gets very spooked, and Balaam becomes very angry at his donkey. And then the donkey speaks to him, and then the angel appears to him, and Balaam makes his way over, and instead of cursing the people of Israel, he actually blesses the people of Israel, and this is where we get the prayer Matovu. So, summer of 2018, the Jewiscal went something like this. This is Balaam singing as he's on his donkey going to curse the Israelites. Balak, king of Moab, sent me to curse the people of Israel on a donkey. I'm sitting on a donkey in the desert. What is this? Balak, king of Moab, wants me to take down the people of Israel on a donkey. I'm sitting on a donkey desert. This is my life. Whoa! The donkey stopped short! She donkey, why did you stop? Did I tell you to stop? I need you to keep going. She donkey, you cannot stop. You have to keep going or I will lash out. Boom! Angel appears. Jewiscal continues on, tells a very linear narrative of what happens in this Torah portion. Through this Jewiscal, the catchphrase of "Do donkeys even neigh?" Just became colloquial within CAA because I wrote that the donkey neighs, and then someone says, "Do donkeys even neigh?" and then it just became part of the culture. So, 2018, a very linear retelling of the portion of Balak. 2019, same portion, because we follow a calendar. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how do I retell this story knowing that a very large amount of people that were here last summer are here again this summer and will have both previous knowledge of this Jewiscal and a previous understanding. And taking into account, there are also some new folks that may have never experienced this portion before. How do we change it? And I thought, well, what if we put it in the perspective of the donkey? What if this time the donkey is our main character? And so that's what happened. So this is the Jewiscal from 2019. I always thought that I would be a farmer mule. I always dreamed I'd be considered hip and cool. But instead of learning to trot, I'm in the sand moving towards Balak. And how can I be cool when it's so hot? I really want some water. Please, Balak, give me some water. This isn't how I thought my life would be. Going to curse the Israelites for eternity. With guards on either side. Hey, guess I'm tagging along for the ride. Maybe my life was hand-tailored for me. Sees the ghost and screams, "Ah! She donkey, why did you stop? Did I tell you to stop? I need you to keep going. A ghost. I saw a ghost. I saw a ghost. Ghosts aren't real!" So interpreting the previous year's Jewiscal into this year's. Oh, that's a great question, Lisa. And I'll let you know when I have that information. But taking the previous year's story and intertwining it into this year's story, both as a callback to something that has happened and also as a way for us as the audience to understand, oh, I know this story, but I'm seeing it from an entirely different perspective. Because now we're getting it from the perspective of the donkey. We have a very linear understanding of the story based off of the text from the portion of Balaam. But now we're getting it from a character that we never really considered, partially because they're not human. So another thing is, based off of the text that we have, based off of the midrashim that we have, how do we write something completely new in a way to better understand the story as a whole? When I was writing Jewiscals, when I do write Jewiscals, some things that I'm thinking about are, what story do I want to tell? In 2018, it was a very linear narrative of the portion, and in 2019, I both wanted and needed to adapt it because I didn't want to tell the same story twice, even though that's kind of what I did, right? What story do I want to tell? How many characters are in the Jewiscal? Summer 2018, I was very cognizant of writing like Moses was a character, God was a character, Pharaoh was a character, Miriam was a character, Aaron was a character, etc., etc. 2019, I shifted more to an ensemble base. There were still Moseses, there were still Aarons, but more than one person played the role. We had the 12 spies, we had the daughters of Zelophehad in different parshiot. But thinking about how do we incorporate as many people as we feel is necessary. This was also at summer camp. I wanted to make sure that everyone felt included. And we also talked about the importance of an ensemble. The show cannot happen if an ensemble is not there. The main characters are not the main characters solely. Everyone is there for a reason. How long is your Jewiscal? I wrote my Jewiscals to be around like 3.5 to 6-ish minutes, depending on what story I was telling, how many characters we had, and also just recognizing that it was camp. And thinking about like, how long is your favorite song? You know? Some songs are 2 minutes, some songs are 20 minutes. But making sure that you're thinking about perhaps goals or objectives that you want to accomplish through your Jewiscal. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about recently is how do Jewiscals directly tie into education? At HUC, I'm currently working on my capstone project, which is an LGBTQ plus curriculum guide, or a curriculum guide to teach LGBTQ plus terms, issues, education to high schoolers through Jewiscals. So for example, there's going to be a lesson on coming out, and the Jewiscal that is being used for that is sung from the perspective of Esther the night before she tells the king that she's Jewish. So a little bit of that one sounds like this. How am I supposed to tell the truth, knowing what Haman plans to do? I'm the queen, I have the power, so why do I sit and cower? Ahasuerus wanted me, but he fell in love with a dream. I wish I didn't have to lie, but it's the only way to survive. I was never taught it was okay for those like me to have a place at the table. Now I'm at the head. Everybody laughs and drinks their wine, but nobody knows what lies behind the fable inside my head. These people want my people gone, but I just smile and move on. I don't want to fake it anymore. I don't want to take responsibility for what others see. I'm allowed to be my honest self. I'm allowed to show the world who I can be. I should show all parts of me. So what we're going to do, thanks Lexi. What we're going to do with that Jewiscal is we're going to have a conversation about the importance of coming out and creating safe spaces for people to come out, knowing that in the context of this Jewiscal, Esther is fearing for her life because she's about to tell the person that she loves that she's Jewish. How do we adapt that to the modern day lives of our teenagers, knowing that some of them may be experiencing something very similar to Esther, and some of them may not necessarily think that being part of the LGBTQ plus community is okay? We have to think about our audiences. When we're working with young kids, they're super impressionable. So what goals and objectives do we want to impart on them? What lessons do we want to give them? What do we want to do for ourselves as educators? Musicals are like books. They immerse us in a new space. They give us a new perspective, teach us empathy. Yeah, oh, thank you. But yes, we can learn so much from musicals. We can learn so much from theater. Another thing to think about is, why are we telling this story now? Is there something in the world that is creating a need for these stories to exist? They're not available to stream just yet, but recordings will become available once the curriculum guide becomes more fleshed out, and I will let you know when that happens. So what we're going to do today is we're going to write Jewiscals. And the story that we're going to be using is the Tower of Babel, Genesis 11:1 through 9. This is a story that many of us probably know, many of us have probably taught. Happens directly after the flood from Parshat Noach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a Sefaria sheet into the chat. Did that link? I don't know if that linked. That is so interesting. Are you able to get it open? I will try it one more time just to see if I can get this to. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna open it again. I'm going to share. Yes, you can copy and paste it to a browser. Thank you. And it doesn't seem to want to link. All right, so if you highlight it and then you press either Command-C or Control-C, and then you paste it into your web browser, you should be good to go. Thank you. I'll also screen share, just to be safe. So what I'm wondering is if I could get a volunteer to unmute themselves and read these 9 verses.
I'm happy to do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Everyone on earth had the same language and the same words. And as they migrated from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them hard." Bricks served them as stone, and bitumen served them as mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build us a city and a tower with its top in the sky to make a name for ourselves, else we shall be scattered all over the world." The Lord came down to look at the city and tower that man had built, and the Lord said, "If as one people with one language for all, this is how they have begun to act, then nothing that they may purpose to do will be out of their reach. Let us then go down and confound their speech there, so that they shall not understand one another's speech." Thus the Lord scattered them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confounded the speech of the whole earth, and from there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth.
Amazing. Thank you so much. One thing that I do just want to point out is last night I changed the words "the Lord" to Adonai, and it did not save. I'm very cognizant about removing the patriarchy from our sacred texts when we're talking about God. So if you would like to change the words to God or Adonai, please feel free to do that. So this is the text that we're going to be working with today. Some things to consider are what we spoke about a little bit earlier, and I will put those into the chat as well. They're also on the source sheet. I've created 3 different musical options for you to use, if you would like to use one of them. One moment, I'm actually just gonna share my sound only, so that we can look at each other, so that I can see you rather. So here is the first option for what could be your music for your Jewiscal. So that's the first option. To me, that one reads, it could read as like, regal, we're gonna do it, we got this. Here's the second option. that one could be a little bit more thoughtful, I suppose. Also, anything that I'm saying right now, you can either say like, wow, yeah, I agree, or actually you're completely wrong, I'm not going to do that. These are just thoughts that are running through my head. Here's the third option. Um, in the chat, Becca said that this is like the montage scene where they're all building the tower. That's an awesome idea. I love that. So when you are in your small groups and you're working together to write Jewsicles, you could tell the entire story in these 9 verses if you want to. You can center in on one verse and tell a story purely through that. You can have your characters be literally anything. It could be the workers as they're building the tower. It can be God looking down and saying, I don't know how I feel about this. You could have your bricks be the main character. I don't know. When I did a Jewiscal workshop a few months ago, we were working with the portion of Noah, and specifically when Noah sends the birds away, one group had Noah as the main character, one group had the olive branch as the main character, one group had the rainbow as the main character. There's no limits to what you want to do. So we're going to go into breakout rooms for around 30 minutes. If we could put, let's say, 3 to 4-ish people per room. And we will come back, let's say at 11. Let's say 27-ish minutes, 11 my time. Before we go though, does anyone have any questions to help set themselves up and their groups for success?
Did you share the link to the songs?
Yes, I will put that back into the chat. They're all on the Safaria page.
Oh, okay, great.
At the bottom. And thank you for, that is not the link at all. Thank you for reminding me to clarify that. There we go.
Eliana, we have 4 groups with 4 in each one.
Great.
And I'm sending you into one, and then you can float around.
Perfect. Sounds great.
In 30 minutes.
Sounds good. All right, y'all. Have fun. I'll be floating around just to check in, see how it's going.
That was fun.
Have safe travels through the Zoomiverse. I'm calling it that now. Okay, hopping between your groups was one of the highlights of my life. Being able to experience like the synergy of all of your brilliance and all of your curiosities was so livening. I don't know if that's a word. Is that a word, livening? That's a word, right? Great, amazing. Okay, I'm an educator, I'm in grad school. But being able to like witness new musicals being created in real time is so like awe-inspiring. I'm so excited for you to share with each other what you've created. So a couple of things before we do this. The first is you can share this in any capacity that you want to. If you want someone to sing with the backing track, that's totally fine. If you want someone to just speak the lyrics or sing them without the backing track, totally fine. If you want to tell us what your idea was, totally fine. If you want to just share your lyrics in the chat and have us read them, totally fine. Whatever you want to do, whatever you and your group are most comfortable with, is what you should be doing right now. What I would love is if you could just let us know like which backing track you would be using, as well as who your main characters are, and any information before you share whatever you share. Any questions before we dive into that? Oh, I'm so glad, Kathy. One of the things that I try and make very intentional within this work is it doesn't matter your experience level. There's no right or wrong way to write a Jewiscal because it's so up to interpretation and collaboration. Okay, groovy. So could we have group 1 share what y'all have created in whatever capacity you would like to? In group 1,
That's us.
Zoe Miller was in that group.
Okay. I was like, what group are we? Burn.
All right, we did the last track,
Yes.
and it goes kind of like this, and I think we
But
should.
wait, I just want to say before we do it, we were all bricks as characters.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is from the perspective of the bricks. I think if we try to say it with the music, it might not work.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
All right. We all have the words.
You
We
ready?
should just recite together.
Yes,
Ready?
let's go, guys.
Okay.
On your 3.
We were close.
So with Zoom, I don't know if we can have multiple
Okay.
people singing it.
You're
Okay,
right.
you go
Okay.
first. You go
You want
first.
me to do it? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. We were close, we were strong, never thought it'd be gone. We reached up, we reached high, tried to touch the sky. You broke us apart, you scattered our hearts. Now we're here, now we're there, no one seems to care. We will work to be just, to rebuild the trust. That's as far as we got.
That's amazing! Yasha Co-op! Oh my gosh!
So fun. So
It
never
was so
thought
fun.
I would ever be able to do any of this. So fun.
Wow, you scattered our hearts. That's
Carol.
wow. And this is from the perspective of the bricks?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We kept thinking of this like beautiful like tower or just beautiful like piece where everybody has to help be with, be kind of equal and with each other to keep it up. And then something happened and
Ooh.
yeah.
Ooh. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so excited. Okay, group 2. I know that April and Pam were in group 2. Not that you have to be the ones to share, but that's just the information that I have.
I think we all know who's going to share.
I'm not gonna do that.
Let's do it.
Lila's going to share for us. Yeah.
I'm not going to share the creative piece. Lila's on that because she's amazing. But we also focused on the feet, and we looked at the bottom, and we looked at the top, and we looked at the ones in the middle. So we looked at the bricks, rather, not the feet, from every perspective. And we have a musical genius in our team that put it all together. So you're on.
I would add that we looked at it from a perspective of that argument, of what happens, like taking the perspective of like not getting along on those bricks, of like thinking one is more important or one is more to fetch about or whatever than the other.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready, Lila.
Get away.
Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna share like portions of what we've got, and when I put it all together, I'll definitely send it to you.
Yeah, you.
So here's what we did for the beginning. Hey, what's happening? Look at me. Only bricks far as I can see. They're laying me down next to another. Laying me down. I hope it's my brother. Cause like they're all like mixed up in there. And so they met each other and they are now stuck with the next people for life. So it's kind of like that anxiety, like who am I gonna be stuck with? And then here's the next one. I know I should be proud of what I'm doing, who I'm putting up there where there's beautiful viewing, but I'm looking out at the world and I see feet peering down at me.
You want to do one of the top ones?
Sure.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
To this one too, because that
Yeah.
one's really good also.
Okay.
We have a lot of notes.
I've got one for the top one. Here, should I do the positive one for the top or the negative one for the top?
You can say both of them. You can do both.
Okay. Here's the positive one. I'm not Disney, I won't cower. I'm climbing to the height of the tower where there's power. That's what I was thinking.
Ooh.
You carrying?
Okay, I'll do the carrying one. Seeing feet here is not that great, but I'm sitting here carrying all of your weight. I'm not 100% sure about the tune, but I have to look into it more before. And then here's another one. I'm feeling dizzy up here. The air is pretty thin. I better hold on tight or I'll wobble in the wind.
Ooh.
Come on. And that's it.
Yeah. And then I think we had one in the middle. I don't know if we got the
Yeah,
middle
the one
one.
in the middle. You may not see me loud and clear, but he may me, I am here.
Mic drop.
Okay.
And that's I'm gonna arrange it, but I don't know. It's not.
Lila, I need your autograph.
Truly, there's so much within these words. I have so many thoughts. Okay, the first one that comes into my mind is something that I just want to point out. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but something that can be done when writing musicals and musical theater in general is combining the lyrics with the music. So da 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 carrying weight. Might weigh down the tune, might bring the melody down because it's heavier. That's a great combination of things. It's so good. The thought about scattered, or I hope I'm put next to my brother. The fact that these bricks have families, that's wild. That's so cool. Being able to take these stories and really go into the world of make-believe is something that can be done across all ages, especially with our really young students. And it also gives us as educators an opportunity to dive into that headspace. Thinking about the stories that we're telling doesn't have to be based off of or strictly what's on the page. Lila, that is fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear the full version of this. Okay, group 3. Jenny.
Wait, was that us? Jenny? Okay, cool. All right. If you're unmuted, can you mute? It's just hard to hear what's happening. Okay, we were also lucky to have a young spirit with us, which is Jenna. We really talked about the section where God's this is not working. They're not listening. They all have the same language. They're all working towards the same goal, but they're missing the message. And so God being how can that moment where there's the transition from them all having the same language until that confounding moment, right? So we chose the third one, the third melody song, but just because we're on Zoom and it's confusing, I'm gonna just sing it kind of as if it's the melody that matches the tune. Okay, so this was very much a community effort. Everyone played their part. It was amazing. We were all on the same page. Okay, so it's this is not what I wanted. This is not what I planned. They all have the tools, but they can't understand. they're not using their voices, they're not using their ears. If they don't know how to listen, maybe this way they'll learn. I added that last part, y'all. So I wanted to incorporate some of Jenna's words and I did it.
That's amazing.
And-
Thank you. Yes, sorry, keep going.
And then there's like we needed like 2 hours to do this, but we would have made it really beautiful, because then there's like the part in that chunk, there's like a chunk where there's like kind of 2 notes, like almost like a dialogue. And so then the plan was to like go down into like the point of view of like having 2 people like saying the same words, either like in different languages or in the same language, and just like kind of like being like no 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 no, and the other person being like what, and then like kind of having like a dialogue where like they're not understanding, and then at the end like kind of the resolve being like that if you don't speak the same language, you actually have to like you have to like learn how to listen to one another and how to communicate. And so the resolve being kind of like them finally coming to a place of understanding, even though they're speaking different languages.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Quick clarifying question. And I think this was said, I just want to double check. Whose perspective is this from?
So the beginning, like the first chunk of the song, is from the perspective of like God being whatever that might look like. And then the middle chunk is like shifting perspective to like 2 or 3 people kind of like talking, trying to communicate with one another when all of a sudden they don't speak the same language.
That's amazing. Thank you. I want to lift something up that Rachel put into the chat and then add on to it. So in the chat, Rachel talked about how really young learners can understand these words. If they're not listening, they're not using their words. Something that I want to add on to that is I'm wondering, like, does God ever have any introspection of like, was I not clear enough in my instructions? And how does that affect the story? And how does that help our learners understand the importance of both listening and also being clear with what we're saying? How do we share our emotions in healthy ways? How do we express our frustrations? How do we express our sadness in ways that don't hurt people, in ways that don't tear people apart? So we're not spreading people away. We're actually building communication by expressing our maybe negative emotions. Thank you so much, Becca and Jenna and everyone in group 3. Group 4.
Yes, I think I'm representing
Cool.
group 4. We didn't get to putting it to music exactly, but Kathy had the great idea. Well, I think because we're so immersed in COVID that this really felt like hearing all the voices, that come at us as directors about all of the COVID guidelines, whether it's parents and teachers and health professionals and our public health department and all of that. So that was really kind of the lens that we looked at it through. And then Eliana had the very lovely idea, I think, of really thinking of, God as that central character, hearing all of these voices. And then we came up with I think the title of our song would be Shamati, like I hear you. And so I'll just read some of the text that we came up with. So this is like from the perspective originally of the director. What do I do? Am I open or closed? This is too much to bear. I hear my teachers, my children, my parents. I want us all to learn together safely. And God says, Shamati. And then it's the health department. Stay apart, stay open, work harder. We are guessing, right? And then the parent, how do I work? How do I take care of my child? I was thinking maybe like a little like 9 to 5 Dolly Parton thing in there. And then the teacher, how do I do my job when the rules keep changing? How do I keep my children safe? How do I keep myself safe? And then everyone collectively, what should we do? Can you hear me? Are you listening? I am broken. And then Seema had the lovely, she connected it to the the music from the Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Can you hear my voice? So that was another song that came out of it. And then God said, Shamati.
Thank you so much. Wow. I love that. Huh. That's bringing up a thought in my head of like Like, how do we help our learners understand the importance of, like, if there's so many different people that need so many different things, how do we honor that? How do we help our learners and ourselves, honestly, understand the importance of making sure that we're listening just as much as we're speaking? And maybe if we're on the same page about something, but we need different things, how do we give those things? I'm like completely blown away by the Jewsicals and the work that has been created today. This is so magnificent. To close, what I would love for us to do, I really have learned how much I love Padlets. So I'm gonna put another Padlet into the chat. And with this Padlet, what I'm curious about is I want us to have the takeaway of what other texts can be used for Jewsicals, and how can they be used for Jewsicals, and why? So I just want us to do a collective brainstorm here for a few minutes, just so that if this is something that you are curious about taking back to your own communities, you have a running list of texts and ideas for what you could do in terms of the texts, and if there's any objectives or any lessons that you want to impart on your learners, how you can do that. Ooh, Pirkei Avot, yeah. And that brings up a really good point. They don't have to be from the 5 books of Moses. They can be from anything. One of the Jewsicals that I'm writing for my capstone project is going to be on a lesson of gender expression, and it's from a midrash from the 3rd century of a rabbi who saw someone in a river, fell in love immediately, thought the person in the river was a woman, but he was actually a man, and they were buried side by side together, and talking about how gender expression does not equate to gender identity. Any children's story. Yep, Megillat Esther, Yitro, yeah, Bereshit, Exodus story. Amazing. Amazing. I'm curious about, and we don't have to put this on the Padlet right now, but thinking about, like, what takeaways would you want from these stories? And that could be when we're thinking about the different values of the stories or the texts. How do we put those to musical theater? Does anyone have any lingering questions of anything that we've done today, or any clarifying words that I can provide, or curiosities that you might have? Cool. Thank you all so much for joining together in this. This has been so much fun for me. And I want to just lift up Lexi's comment. First off, thank you. That's very kind of you. And also, like, all of you are inspirations. Like, we wrote musical theater together in under an hour and a half. That's a really big task to take on, and you did it. And so I just want to give all of you a big Yasher Koach and Kol HaKavod. Like, I want to make sure that you're proud of yourselves within this work as well. If you would like to reach me beyond this, that's my website, and here is my email. Please feel free to get in contact. I would love to stay in touch, hear what you're up to, potentially work together in the future. And I'm so deeply appreciative of you taking your time and spending it with us. Thank you all so much.
Eliana, thank you. I am just totally blown away by everything that we've done this morning. I'm so motivated. I don't think I'll ever approach Jewish texts the same, or musicals. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for this time with you. I think most of you probably know me by now, but just in case, my name is Fern Katz, and I'm the president of ECE-RJ and the director of early childhood education at Chicago Sinai. My pronouns are she and her. In just a few minutes, 4 minutes, we will switch over to a new Zoom for Needing Strength, and that is an exploration of Jewish breads. If you haven't registered yet, Trisha's putting the link in the chat. This session also, I just know is going to speak to my heart because I am a bread baker and I'm very excited about this. Then at 4:30 Eastern time, we will all be coming back together for our closing session for Havdalah with Shira Klein, Zoe Miller, and Shelley Sender. So please join us. I know it's going to be a very moving experience, and it's always hard to close out these kalot, and it's really so beautiful to be able to all do it together and to end Shabbat together. So looking forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.